What's up, y'all? This is Ramel Watley, and welcome to Truck and Hustle, the podcast for trucking entrepreneurs. If you want to learn about the trucking industry from the business side of things, you're in the right place. Every week, I interview the people who are making it happen on a daily basis. I get them to share their successes, their failures, and sometimes even their secrets. The goal is to show you how you too can create financial freedom in the booming trucking industry. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. On today's show, we got to kick it with Jalen Ubo. Jalen is a serial entrepreneur who was recently featured in blackbusiness.com as the youngest black entrepreneur to own his own fleet of trucks, building a multi-million-dollar logistics company, All American Freight, by the age of 23. Jalen talks to us about his many business endeavors, from lawn care to building a delivery app service in his early high school and college days. Then, Jalen talks about growing his businesses to over $60,000 per month in revenue, losing it all, and what he had to do to get back on his feet. And later, Jalen talks about government contracts and how that changed his outlook on business and got him started in the trucking world. So put your ears on, and if you smell something burning, it's only your desire. Cue the intro. Turn my mic up. Take it there. Yeah. On the road to the riches. Life takes a toll like bridges. Good friends become foes and snitches. Better watch who knows in your business. Serial entrepreneur. He does everything from trucking and logistics to, from what I see, medical supply, real estate. What don't you do, man? You're involved in everything, it seems like.
There's not a lot I don't do. We just been blessed to be able to put our hands on a lot of things. So, hey, man, if you can do it, man, and do it strong. So
I hear you. And the most amazing thing is how old are you, Jalen?
I'm 23.
23 years old. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So 23 years old, serial entrepreneur, and you live in Atlanta, correct?
That's correct. Yep, I'm based in Atlanta.
All right, cool. So, Jalen, as we get started, I just want to kind of get into your story a little bit. This show is primarily about trucking entrepreneurs, and that is something that you do, but you do so many things as well. The name of the show is Truck and Hustle, right? So we don't only like to talk about trucking, we talk about all kinds of hustles here, man. So if you could bring other value to the show, that's something that's great that can help our audience out as well. As we get into it, just want to get into your story a little bit. Tell me about yourself. Where were you born? How'd you come up? Give me a little bit of your backstory.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. My family moved to Atlanta when I was a youngster. So Atlanta is really all I know. Just got my journey started early, man. Since I was a kid, I always knew business was the way. I had some entrepreneurs in my family, small time entrepreneurs. They had their little side businesses, and it always kind of inspired me to go to the next level. So when I had the opportunity, as a kid, I was that kid in, junior high hustling, you know what I'm saying? Selling candy out of his book bag, yeah, man.
Okay.
I had little kids, I had little kids running around selling candy for me, man, and cutting them a commission, and it was crazy, man. Back then it's like, man, I give 10% of $1,
Right.
It was big money to little kids,
For sure.
I always had that hustle, man. So when I got to high school, I was able to get into an organization called DECA, which is a business organization.
Okay.
Throughout high schools all over. And it really helped me to develop my skills. And I really began to spend personal time developing my own self individually, learning new skills, trying to acquire experience. And so one of the cool parts of my journey was I had parents that own businesses.
Okay.
So I had the ability to watch somebody and to model after someone.
Okay.
And getting into anything for the first time, it's kind of hard when you don't have that, that guide or that path to do so. So I really honestly had a leg up. So I got to be in the office during the summers and, work on different files. And, my parents at the time, they were in loss mitigation, which simply means, they were helping people, save their homes from going into foreclosure. So they would be a consultant, a middleman between the bank and, the homeowner, and help to renegotiate someone's mortgage. And
Okay.
so, I'm 16, 17 years old on the phone, negotiating, someone's house going into foreclosure. It was
Wow.
crazy, but it was great experience.
Wow.
And through
Wow.
that process, our family business was able to save over 1,500 homes from going into foreclosure, from people getting kicked out into the streets. So,
Okay.
great foundation. So by the time I got into college, man, it was just like, okay, this is the opportunity. This is my opportunity to run. And so, within maybe 2-3 weeks of my freshman year, I started a business. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? It's a whole new environment. I have the ability to, kind of revolutionize myself. So I branded myself.
Okay.
My name is Jalen, but my middle name is Dominique. So I started calling myself JD, all this kind of stuff, but I'm creating this brand, what I'm
Okay.
saying? And,
Okay.
I was like, well, I did sell candy in high school and junior high. So let me hit that. And so basically, and this was before Uber Eats and all this kind of stuff. We started, I had some friends that were able to develop an app, and we started a food service company, food delivery company, and it was app-based. So people would log on the app, and they would be able to order food at nighttime, because our campus was maybe about 8,000-9,000 kids, and after 8 o'clock, everything closed down. So you got hungry kids walking around looking for something. So
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'm about to be the plug, and
Right.
I hooked up with some cool dudes, and man, our first night the app crashed because we had so many people get on. So that was really my first step into like real business. It was like, oh, okay, this is for real,
Right.
And this was before all like the food delivery
The
services. So
DoorDash and
yeah,
okay.
yeah, man, this is back in 2014 before any of that stuff came. You was around, So your boy is really the inventor of all of that, So yeah, man, yeah.
All right.
So had a little experience with that, but just really looking for the next thing, and I was hustling, trying to find where I wanted to go, and just over time, I began to create businesses built on top of those businesses, and before I knew it, I found myself owning a retail store in 3 different malls across Georgia. My companies are net 60,000 a month.
Wow.
And I'm a sophomore in college, man.
Wow.
I'm still 18, 19 years old. So I'm like, yo, this is crazy,
Right.
And so because I had never, number one, accumulated that much money, didn't know how to really manage my money, and didn't have anybody in front of me saying, okay, this is what you do, this is how you, because my whole thing growing up was, yeah, my parents own their own businesses, they do well, but I want to create my own path. I don't want to be that kid that everybody says, okay, he was handed that, he was given this, he was given that. So one of the things I pride myself on, my parents were nothing else but just wise words. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I never went to them for a capital investment, never, anything like that. It wasn't no mommy and daddy bailing you out. So, at 18 years old, I was really on my own, with everything. So, I went through that little process, man, had a business going well, and it took a toll on me because I'm doing school, I'm hitting the dean's honor roll every semester, but I got 3 businesses across the state of Georgia, that's bringing me in $60K a month, and I'm running, I'm really hustling. And so at 18, 19 years old, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so it hit me on my health, number one. And so I said, okay, well, let me take a step back. And ultimately, I lost it all, man. I lost the money, I lost the businesses, so I had to start from scratch. And this reboot, this is the phase that that you all from everybody that knows me now knows me from this reboot period I explained in my life, where I just had to reboot, man. I got to a place where I'm the man. I'm the man on campus. I'm the man in the streets. I'm the man, period.
Right.
And you go from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill, where, man, I'm in a situation where I'm getting eviction notices at my apartment complex, the repo man looking for my joint.
Okay.
I'm like, man, I'm behind on credit card bills, man. It was bad. And as a man, you got to figure out your own, man. You got to be able to hold your own. And so it wasn't no, it wasn't no going to mommy and daddy to, nah, man. And, nah, man. And at the same time, they was going through a situation. So it really wasn't nothing,
Okay.
So it was really on me to take it to the next level and figure out how we were going to get out of this as, and as being the first child, how we're going to get out of this as a family,
Okay.
So my next move was just what's the next thing, I know I have a skill. I know I can bring something to the market, but what is it? At the time I was selling electronics in malls, so
Okay.
at the time hoverboards were hot. We were the largest retailer of hoverboards in the state of Georgia. So, I'm like, okay, well, that's dead because, they're blowing up on folks now. So nobody wants them. So what's the next thing?
Right.
And just came across a pretty legit business model, healthcare. So medical equipment was the thing that we came across. And so we said, this is something, ultimately we want to get in healthcare, number one, because it's a business that's never going to go anywhere. Up, good economy, bad economy, up or down, people are always going to need healthcare. And that's what I tell, the hundreds of people I mentor every week. You want to set yourself in a business that, is unshakable with, as unshakable, and no business is unshakable, but I'm saying, to the point where 90% of external factors don't affect your business or your bottom line,
Right.
So where healthcare is concerned, people are going to get sick regardless,
Okay. Got you.
Republican in office, Democrat in office, people are going to get sick. So they're going to need my services. They're going to need my products.
For sure.
And so we decided to go with we decided to start a healthcare business where we were selling medical equipment, and we had some healthcare services that we provided to hospitals, hospices, and that whole arena. And so just by chance, honestly, I watched this movie, and I encourage you and your viewers, if you haven't watched this movie, just go check it out and you'll have a little better understanding of what I do. But it's a movie called War Dogs, and you may have already seen it, a movie that came out in 2016.
Okay.
And it's a movie with Jonah Hill and Miles Teller, and it's about two guys. They're like 21 and 23 at the time, and it's a true story. They start a company and they start going to work for the government. So their company is selling guns, ammunition, all this kind of stuff to the federal government, and they land themselves a $300 million contract at 21 and 23 years old back in 2007.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm like, wait, what?
Like, hold up, wait a minute.
I'm like, these white boys did what? So I'm
and
like,
it's a true story, right? This movie is a true story.
It's a true story. So you can go and actually, if you type in War Dogs or real people, the real folks will come up and you can follow their story. It's very interesting. And I'm like, yo, that's what I want to do, because my goal was, number one, I want to own whatever I can put my hands on.
Wow.
Whatever I can put my hands on, I want to own.
That's powerful.
And number two, I want to set myself up in a place where it doesn't matter what's going on externally, my business are going to be solid. So I want my customer base to be solid. I need to make sure that my market is solid. Whoever my target is, where these contracts I'm getting them from. And the government just seemed right. The federal government, the United States federal government, is not going anywhere. And when I started to do my research, I started to find out things like the federal government spends $5.7 trillion a year. 50% of that goes to small businesses, businesses that are minorities, which I am, businesses that are small businesses, businesses that are woman-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses. So they have all this money set aside for people like me. And half of the money, there's billions and billions of dollars essentially that are just unclaimed because either businesses like ours don't know about the opportunities out there, or they don't take the opportunities.
Okay.
So immediately I was kind of like, oh, okay, I'm going to jump on this,
Right. Right.
I had went through the whole healthcare process, starting that business, and that was a monster, man. Essentially what I had to do to start my healthcare business was become a unlicensed doctor, because, you have to be a health practitioner. So I had to, what's called I'm a national health practitioner, and I had to essentially go through school, and go through all this rigorous process to become a national health practitioner. So I had done the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. So I'm like, this can't be that much harder.
Right.
And went through the process. And it took us a couple of years because, of course, didn't know what we were doing. We kind of feeling through the dark, and there really wasn't any trustworthy sources out there where information was concerned. So you said we just said we're gonna thug through this, and when it came to we became a licensed federal contractor, and then we had the ability to start selling our products and services to the government. So we weren't selling your grandmother a wheelchair anymore.
Okay.
We started selling your that same wheelchair to the government for 5 and 10 times the amount. So whereas I could bill your grandmother's insurance company maybe $3,000 for a wheelchair, I can now bill that same wheelchair for maybe $9,000 or $10,000 to the government. Oh. Absolutely crazy. And whereas the government, they're going to order 10 or 100 times more than your grandmother ever will. So I'm like, oh yeah, this dope,
Right.
And so, very quickly, we won our first contract, and it was a $17,000 contract. I'm like, yo, the government gonna pay me $17,000 and for a day's worth of work.
Right.
I'm like, whoa, this is it. And we just kept rolling. Our next contract was a $140,000 contract. The following and it just kept building. And overnight, we built a multi-million-dollar business, and it allowed us to get into other industries. And just because this is your audience and your segment, how we got into trucking, the federal government paid for all of our trucks, man. We have an entire fleet. We have 4 trucks, paid, debt-free. We don't owe no debt. I hold all the titles right now.
Okay.
The government paid me the purchase price for all my trucks plus some, and then said, just let us use them for a year.
Okay.
And we'll give it back to you.
Stop right there, because we're going to get back to that, because that's big. Okay. I think the audience, I want you to dig into that a little bit more.
Okay.
Rewind a little bit, because you just now said a whole lot, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All of this happened within the span of like maybe 4 or 5 years? From 18 from when you started your first business to now to you're about 23. And initially, at one point, you were running multiple businesses, doing about $60,000 a month, right? And you lost it all. So I just want to dig into that a little bit, because how does that happen? What was it? Financial discipline? Was it overspending? How does one get to a point to where they're making $60,000 a month and lose it all and have to start from scratch? And then not only that, what does it take to come back from that? With more important.
Yeah, for sure. So it's easy, man. Money is if you don't have the mindset and the understanding of what currency actually is, it's easy to lose it, man, because you'll always find something to buy. You know what I'm saying? You'll always let's just be honest. You always find something to buy. If you got $1 million, it's $1 million product out there.
Right.
People are always creating something for you to buy. So it was a mixture of things. It was a mixture of my ignorance, my lack of education where money management was concerned, and really just how to. And my thing was, I'm not worried about it, man. If because at the time I had closed all my businesses, because I said, I'm in school. So that was a large part of it. Let me shut down the businesses and really just focus on school. But I have enough put away to where, I'll be good. And before I knew it, I was rock bottom, and I'm like, okay, where did I go? So it was a mixture of mismanagement of money, spending it on frivolous things. I'm a young kid with no discipline, and no one really even knows that I'm making this type of money outside of, very close relatives and, people that are close around me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So where there was an opportunity, it was opportunity to show somebody, to stun on somebody. It was like, oh, okay, let me be the guy that comes to the party, or the guy that hears that there's a party going on, and buy all the drinks, buy all the liquor for the party, and never even show up. Like, who is this mystery dude that buy all the liquor for the party and don't show up?
And I just want to put, put emphasis on that, because I think people, a lot of times don't understand how easily money can come and go. Like
Yeah.
if you think about the average person who works a 9 to 5 now, they may be bringing $3,000 to $4,000 a month. And then when you say we were doing 60,000, and that could be gross, that after you have to pay employees and, have expenses and so forth and so on, that might not be net, but still you're doing a whole lot more than $4,000 or $5,000 a month. Right. It's like, how do you not just be rich? You know what I mean? After you making that much money, but like you said, the more money you make, the more money you spend, right?
For sure.
Your spending it's kind of, you exhaust it because you have it to spend. So you just kind of start throwing money away frivolously, and so on.
Yeah. And that's what it is, because you're being able to incur or being able to obtain money is all in a mindset, right?
Okay.
That's what it ultimately boils down to.
Talk about that for me. What's that mindset?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah. So what I mean by that is, money is not, you can attract whatever you want to you, right?
Okay.
And that's the mindset I'm talking about, the law of attraction, right? I understood that I had the ability to attract the things that I wanted. In the financial realm of that, if I wanted money, if I had a desire for money, all I knew I had to do was create a product or service that people wanted, and people would come, because there's enough out there in the global economy to where whatever you put out there, you see products every day, like, yo, this silly little product just made $1 million, $5 million, $10 million overnight. How is that possible? Right. But I was in the mindset of, I can have whatever I want.
Okay.
And whatever I put my mind on, if it's, I want a certain level of financial freedom or what have you, I can achieve those things by, number one, putting the skills and work down, right? So going to work, but having the faith behind it to believe that I can do it. So I would start these businesses with absolutely no money, and I would get other people to believe in this dream that I created. I would create a storyline, literally from start to finish, and put people in my storyline and show them how they would be financially prosperous,
right?
If they signed on to this investment that I'm selling. And all this is a pitch,
Right.
I'm even making it sound real sweet now, but think about it. That's what Disney does. What is Disney? What is Disney World? Disney World is nothing but a whole bunch of people walking around in costumes, but they sell you a dream. They sell you a story. And so it's the buy-in that gets that dollar out your pocket, and you buying $200 tickets for you and your kids. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what it was. And so I was able to create these storylines and really pull people on the outside in. And that's how I got my investments, man, because I didn't have any money starting these businesses, my very first business, I remember, just, and this is what faith is, man. You believe in something so much that you become it.
Right.
Okay. And so, I had this vision for one of the first businesses I started on my college campus, and I believed it so much that I'm like, okay, well, I really want to do this, and this thing is inside of me. And so I began to work on it. I began to form a business plan, not knowing where the money was going to come from, not knowing where the experience or the resources were going to come from. I began to form this business plan, and then the opportunity presented itself. And that's why I always say, man, always be prepared for an opportunity, because it's coming, man.
Right.
You got to be ready for whatever's coming. The worst thing you can do is for opportunity to come and you're not prepared.
That's a fact.
And so opportunity came. One of my homeboys knocked on my door looking for some other guys. And he's like, hey, man, you seen any, and I know he had a few dollars. So I said, hey, man, Jay, this is your first investor. Bring him in here and show him your business plan.
Right.
And so, and I knew the kid had some, a little bit of wit on him. And boom, I literally had a business plan written up on, had a sliding mirror door, over my closet at the time. And this is where my business plan was written up in marker. Like, it wasn't even on paper or nothing, dog. And so I sold him on this idea that I just wrote down, and something clicked, after that happened, it was like, wow, man, I can sell something that's not even tangible. I can be able to unlock something that's not even tangible. And so going back to the mindset is, you really have the ability to create the world that you want to exist, that you want to live in, that you want to grow. But it all starts here, man. The millionaire doesn't become a millionaire overnight just because he wished on it and, oh man, this million gonna fall out the sky. No, man. He believed in that crazy stuff he was telling himself that whole time. He believed it so much that he started to act on it. And when your thoughts are so powerful that you begin to act on it, it starts to actualize into material things. So you start to see business plans being created. You start to see, I believe this so much, I'm about to go knocking on doors and selling this idea, selling this invention. And so that's what I began to do. It built up in me so much that I just started to move on it. Man, before I even, that particular business, I was out knocking on doors, putting out my flyers for this business that I didn't even have the equipment to do the work for. But I believed it so much. I said, I don't know where the money's gonna come from, but it's gonna come. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly.
Right. I got you.
And so I went to I got a call, and I'm in college, so I'm expecting my mama, my grandmama to be checking on me, something like that. I get a call, and he's like, "Hey, man, it was a landscaping business." He's like, "Hey, man, I got one of your flyers. I want you to come by." And I'm like, "Come by for what?" It was it was just crazy. It was like, what? And so I go there, and I got a client, man. Don't got a lawnmower, don't got a weed whacker, don't got nothing, man. I don't know nobody got no lawnmower. I don't know no. So it's like, what? You know what I'm saying? But it was that faith that had built up in me so strongly that it faith will move you to your ultimate goal. You know what I'm saying? So if your faith is not moving you, if you got a dream and it don't get you up off your couch and to get you out in them streets, knocking on doors, selling your product, telling people about what you do, hey man, it's not faith, dog. It's just a daydream. And that's the difference between, hey, I'm just wishing and hoping. And I don't believe in hope, man. Hope is nothing but a deferred dream, or a deferred plan. I hope. And you sit there and you never go to actually work, man. So I like using the words faith. Faith mixed with your action, man, can make anything possible. And so I had the faith, I had the understanding of all I need to do is to begin to work on this. All I need to do is begin to develop this idea, develop this business before I see it. And, I was able to really begin to build these industries and these companies where, I went from cutting people's grass to making $60,000 a month in the same year. Wow. So it was not, over 2, 3, 4 year span. I was from my very first thing in college where I selling candy to now I'm cutting grass. I make a little more money cutting grass. And now all of a sudden I own, businesses that are bringing me gross $60,000 a month. I'm making over $500,000 a year at 18, 19 years old. And so that was that, you asked about the mindset and the mentality. It really took me time because I went from, losing everything to, and just going into this a little bit more, how I went from, losing everything to rebuilding. It really took the experience and just learning. You're not going to get it all in one go. And I think that's a lot of people's frustration. Is like, hey, I'm starting this new trucking business, or, I mentor over 200, people that are starting their own trucking business. Okay. They come to me from all different sides of the world. They're either a trucker, or they own their trucking business and it failed, or what have you. And they're coming to me to learn a lot of the skills that I put out, because one of my hallmarks is how you do things debt free, right? Mm-hmm. And so, but this is one of the things I tell them, with anything, everything comes with practice and repetition. You're just not going to walk into the gym and walk out looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to, it's practice and repetition. It's going in there, feeling the burn, going home sore, then coming back in the early mornings and hitting it again. You just, same thing with anything, you play a sport, you play an instrument, anything, man, it's practice and repetition. And that's what I built, getting up and falling. And, over the course of just this few minutes we've been talking, I've described maybe 4 or 5 different businesses,
sure,
in the course of a few minutes, but it was practice and repetition. That was my practice and repetition. So when I was rebuilding, I had all this insight. I understood, how to write a contract. I understood, what signing a lease at a commercial space like a mall was like, because I had that practice and repetition. I understood what it was to pay rent. I understood what it was to have payroll and expenses and a balance sheet and an income statement. And you're building all these skills as you go, and you're learning, and you're working with customers, and you know what it is to, have a customer to come and buy your product. And I was in retail, so we experience this all the time, come and buy your product, walk off with your product, and then next week they call and they credit card company talking about, I didn't buy that product. Dog, I got your name right here. You signed it. Like, and you learn these things and you grow. And so, it was really a learning experience. And the cool thing about it is I had been already, from as early as, I'm told, 3 years old, man, I've been scheming and planning. This was a part of my DNA. At 3 years old, 4 years old, man, I was drawing diagrams of a cruise ship, and okay, this is, because I wanted to own a cruise line, and this is what it's going to look like, and these are the people that's going to be a part of it. And I had job titles, and I'm a little kid, so I don't know that much, but I'm building myself. And so it wasn't just 18 I started, man. It was, from as early as I can remember, I had been, practicing and focusing on this thing so hard. So by the time I became 18, it was just now that I built my faith so much that now it's just time to implement all these things that I had learned and start to work and grow. So, the comeback was much easier than the starting, but the comeback, it was because I knew a lot, and the movie War Dog set a precedence in front of me and said, hey, these people that are a few years older than you did this, and this was a true story, won a single one contract for $300 million and performed on the contract. And I'm like, yo, now this is, you just blew my mind, because now you just showed me that this is possible. Right. I never knew I could ever do something that massive at that age. And now we're doing millions of dollars every year out of the companies that we own because of that. So, it's practice and repetition. It's having the mindset of, I can create the world that I want to live in, but I have a choice. Most people sit back and let the world that they live in create them. I don't let the world that I live in create me. I take the mold that the world gives me, and I break that. And I start to mold the world around me, because ultimately that's what we've been created to do. From the foundation of the earth, man, we've been created to be creators, man. That's what we are. Look at everything around us, the table that we sit at, the earphones that we're talking through right now. Someone created these things from, and when the first person said, hey, let's get a set of headphones, for people to talk to and communicate through wires. Right. Someone said, that's crazy. And when it came out with, like the ones I'm listening to or speaking to you through, let's get ones that don't have wires. For sure. Man, you crazy. How is that even possible? For 1,000 years ago to now, people 1,000 years ago couldn't even imagine that we're communicating right now. You're in New Jersey, I'm in Atlanta. We're communicating over the air, literally through the air. When you sit back and think about it, it's crazy, but it all goes back to, we were created to create. And so begin to start creating the world that you want around you, and all the things that you want will come to you. Don't chase after the money. Don't chase after those things are supposed to chase after you. The businesses, the money, the land, all the things that you're supposed to have, they're already going to come to you because they're already out there. So there's plenty for everybody. Wow. If everybody, the world is so big, man. Everybody could have the money that they wanted, the land that they wanted, the business that they wanted, and everybody be cool. But we're so focused on just allowing the world, we take what the world give us and we do like this. Oh man, I guess I'm just going, this my lot in life. And not to demean anybody's story or to say, you know, you know, just what you've been through doesn't shape you and mold you. Of course it does. But what I'm saying to, your viewers and your listeners is you have the ability to begin to take whatever you've been given, whatever lot you've been given in life, and to take that to the next level. You can stay where you are, or you can build something and grow and begin to create like you've been created to create. So that was that comeback, man, and just really shaping businesses in my head and getting people around me to chime in and believe in the dreams that I created, to begin to invest in companies that I started. And I started to rebuild myself and, had so much experience coming in. It was just, it was easy flowing. And this government thing, when we got into that was a whole nother monster. So
that kind of opened up the door for bigger things.
Yeah, for sure.
So, man, I mean, you're saying so much, man. Great stuff. You're dropping a lot of bombs right now. So, who are some of your influences? I mean, obviously, I can tell you were raised well by your parents. You said your parents were entrepreneurs. So obviously that had affected an impact on you and the person you are today. But outside of your parents, because, you spoke since you were 3 years old, you were thinking about your cruise line, right? Maybe you were looking up to Marcus Garvey, right? You wanted to have your own Black Star. I don't know. Like, did you read a lot as a child? Like, who are some of your influences?
Yeah, man, I used to read the dictionary, dog. I used to read everything I could put my hand on. Yeah, I was that kid, man. Like, and coming up in school, especially, it was a little hard, man, because it's like, you knocked off as the nerd or the kid that's always in books, but it was like, man, I was always so curious, and I think that's what it was. It's not one particular person, I listened to a lot of different, people, from our great Black social and economic activists like the Marcus Garveys to motivational speakers like Les Brown and Zig Ziglar, and to spiritual folks like Bishop T.D. Jakes, and like just a whole plethora of people. My curiosity really fueled my drive. I was always asking why is, if the world is like this, why is it like that? And why can't we change it? And why, so that was really the thing that pushed me. And I think, honestly, it was just something that was innate in me. I really don't have an answer to, maybe why I was a curious person, but I just always, always had a curiosity that was never really quenched. And I think it was just honestly driven by God, and just put on the inside of me. Because one thing, and I'll say this, my grandparents, my maternal grandparents were really a huge role in, my development. One of the things my grandmother always said to me was, you're gonna be great, and the world is gonna know your name. From as early as I can remember, she would always say that you're gonna be great, and the world is gonna know your name. And so, it's definitely important to have, if you're not given that, through your family members or your friends or what have you, it's definitely important to go and seek that affirmation and approval and those words of encouragement and wisdom, because those are literal seeds. Those were seeds that were being sowed down on the deepest part of my souls. And so I began to believe those things that I was told. I remember just recently, maybe a few years ago, my great grandmother was telling me a story of, after I was born, and I had never known this up until this point, but after I was born, my great grandfather took me, I was born during a blizzard, one of the craziest blizzards on history to ever hit, the state of Illinois. And a few days after my birth, my grandfather took me outside and threw me up in the air and did one of them, Simba moves, man. He threw me up like Simba, man, and he gave me back to God. And
wow.
It was, I'm like, yo, I never even knew that. And it was just, things like this, hearing stories of, the things that had, the words that had been spoken to me, the things that had been done, even, as early as, times I can't even remember, And so hearing these things, it was really impressed upon me that I had a responsibility, not only to myself, not only to my immediate family, but for the ones that were before me, the slaves that were on the cotton fields, my African ancestors that I've never met, that died thousands of years ago, and for the people that are in front of me to do well, and to walk high and to walk with my head held high, because I have a responsibility not only to the people behind me, the people that literally got on their hands and knees so I could stand up on their back to get over the fence that was put in front of us, but also for the people that are not here yet, my children, my grandchildren, the millions of people that I have to impact in the future. So that was really impressed upon me. And so I took it as a responsibility. I took that as a mantle to go to the next level in everything I did, and to walk with excellence, and to always hit it, every single day. So those were really my motivators and the things that influenced me growing up. Just knowing that I had a responsibility to, the greater world around me, because at the end of the day, we all die.
Right.
We all go and meet our maker, or whatever you choose to believe, but we all die. That's one thing for sure.
For sure.
And one thing, we were talking about this in one of my philosophy classes, in college. Would you rather, you be famous and people know your name during your life, or would you rather, no one know your name, but after your death, everybody knows your name, And so it made me think how many millions and billions of people that have lived on this earth, and, their families have died, and, their friends have died, and no one knows that they ever came and existed, because they never, woke up and did that thing that they knew was pressing on them, or they never, just nobody knows who they are. You know what I'm saying? How many millions and billions of people that today we don't even know existed.
Right.
We don't know their stories. We don't know. So what was really the purpose of my life here? So I choose to believe my life is to impact others. And if I die and no one knows who I am, not because I want to be known, but because my impact is not still touching these people, the future generations, then what was my life worth? So I always try to make sure that, every single day I'm putting impact in the ground, and I'm doing the things that the people tomorrow be able to, eat off of, and be able to grow off of, and to thrive off of. Because at the end of the day, it's not about us. All these things that we have, we don't take none of this with us. You know what I'm saying? When it's over, It's over. You don't take nothing, you can't say nothing after you're in that ground. You know what I'm saying? You can't do. So, hey, make the noise. Let your voice reverberate so loud that after you're gone, people will still hear the echoes of your impact.
Wow. Wow. And, my next question to you is going to be, how important to you is entrepreneurship? But I think you just answered it. I mean, I think, what you're talking about, that impact and making your name, here after and those echoes, I think that's entrepreneurship. Would you say that? Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure. Entrepreneurship is all but one thing: service. And, because we all try and, run from, a lot of people try and run from the 9 to 5 because it's like, I don't want to work from this dude, which is cool. I did the same thing,
Right.
But ultimately it all comes down to service. Whether you're serving a company, and you're employed by a company, or you're an entrepreneur and you're serving your client, or you're serving your customer. It all comes down to service. And so, ultimately, everything you do has to be rooted in true servanthood, and I like to think of it, when you're an entrepreneur, you're a servant leader.
Okay.
You get a nice fancy title like CEO, but it may be some days that you scrubbing the toilet in the back. You know what I'm saying? And my first year when I went out and we got signed a lease to an office, my first few years, man, I was cleaning all the toilets. So it's like, Yeah, I'm the CEO, but somebody got to clean these toilets. Somebody got to restock the bath. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you're really a servant at the end of the day, you know,
Right.
for your customers, for your family, for, you know, whoever the people that you serve. And so ultimately, you know, when you have a mindset of how can I serve the next guy, the money is going to come. You know what I'm saying? Because I just translate that into a product. You know, when I sat down and said, okay, I know healthcare was the thing I wanted to do, or I know trucking is the thing I want to do. How do I serve the people that need this product? How can I be innovative? How can I think outside the box and bring them something that they never brought before? So in some of my businesses, I had to be crazy. I had to have great, crazy good customer service, or, you know, in other businesses, I had to have crazy good processes and systems to meet the needs of the customer. Whatever it was, you know, I had to figure out how can I serve this person in a different way. And I'll say this, I didn't start thinking like that because I have a million role models, right? One of the things my dad used to always say is, you can learn a good thing from anybody. Right. Good, you know, even the most evil people in the world, you can take something positive from their lives, right? Everybody knows, you know, everybody knows Adolf Hitler was a horrible man who killed millions of people. But a few years before, you know, we found ourselves in World War II, this man was, you know, he was on New York Times, you know, cover, you know what I'm saying? You know, as a great orator, and people were praising this man. So you can take something good from everybody. And he would always say, find something good in every person you meet. And if you can apply it to yourself, you'll become the greatest man in the world. Wow. You know, taking all these nuggets. And so Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A, I had the opportunity to go to the headquarters here in Georgia, their corporate headquarters. And one of the things that they were huge on, you know, I don't know if you guys have Chick-fil-A in 100%, New Jersey, do you?
100%. I love Chick-fil-A, and primarily for that reason right there, man. Customer service. My pleasure.
Yes.
My pleasure.
It is real.
Yes. I'm listening. Tell me about this, because I'm interested in this.
When I tell you,
wondered about.
And you, yeah, when you go to and anybody can, you know, reserve a tour, and it's real cool. It's free, you know, it's a free tour. They feed you, they take you around their corporate headquarters. But the main thing is they really show you that corporate culture that they said is real, you know. And one of the things that was so impressive to me was walking around this multi-billion-dollar corporation that one man started, and his family still owns 100% of the business, right? Because we're talking business, we're talking entrepreneurship right now, right? Right. So this man, his company every Chick-fil-A you see, you know, their franchise model is totally different. They own every store, every Chick-fil-A, every location in the United States and outside the United States. You know, they own that company 100% through and through. But he said, I built this company on faith. I built this company, number one, trusting and relying on God, but number two, serving. And so it's so crazy. They have this huge plaque on the outside. They have like these outdoor gardens, and they have this huge plaque in the middle of the garden that has their mission statement. And the mission statement, you know, if you just Google a lot of mission statements for fast food chains, you know, major fast food chains, McDonald's, you know, I don't know what they are, but 9 times out of 10, they have something to do with food, right? Our goal is to provide, you know, such and such excellence, where given is, you know, providing food, or, you know, build a national brand or what have you. And ultimately their mission statement, I know word for word, but it said to glorify God in the servitude of our fellow man. Wow. And so I'm like, wait, whoa. You a chicken joint. What you talking about glorifying God in the servitude of the fellow man? Right. And so essentially they broke it down to us and said, you know, we see it as an honor. We honor God, you know, who in the founder is a very religious man. He said, we honor God by making sure that we serve our people, you know, because we see a God in every person that comes through our door. So if we can't serve the people that we see in front of us, how we going to serve an invisible God that we believe in? Wow. And I'm like, boy, you something else, man. And I'm got it right. And you know, and it wasn't like something like, hey man, this is just somebody talking. No, I'm walking in this multi-billion-dollar corporation, seeing all these employees run around, and it's like, whoa, this is real.
Right.
And they really believe this in everything they do, you know. And so that was one of the things that turned on that mindset. And then when I changed my focus from, okay, how can I make money, to how can I serve people, the money just started to come because I was always serving, you know. And I just, instead of, you know, and when I think when people think about serving, they think about, I'm your servant, I'm your maid, I'm your butler. No, when I'm talking about serving, I'm talking about how can I deliver something to you with excellence,
right?
You know, whether that's a product or service. So if I own a, you know, you probably have guys all over the spectrum. So if I own a hot shot business, right, and I'm running hot shots all over the United States, you know, when you pull up and you're delivering whatever goods that you're delivering, are you delivering it with a smile? Are you picking up the phone and saying it's a great day, you know, at blah blah blah? Are you giving that extra, you know? And just as you said, you know, when you pull up to Chick-fil-A, it's my pleasure. You know, It's like that little thing that just goes so far to let you know that I appreciate you as my customer. So when I started to begin to serve my customers and my clientele, and I began to really just show them my appreciation for them, it was like, yo, people would start throwing money at me. And I went from, you know, throwing, you know, $5 and $10 to now people are throwing millions of dollars, and I'm being requested all over the country, and, you know, being pulled in all different directions. And so it really became an amazing experience. You can see how much that little change in my mindset of, hey, I'm going after this money, let me just hustle, to, okay, let me tone down just a little bit. Let me figure out how I can make their experience a great one, you know?
Wow. That's powerful stuff, man. That's really powerful stuff. All right, so let's get into some trucking real fast. Let's fast forward.
Yeah.
All right, so when we stopped before, you said that you were able to get 4 trucks paid for by the government, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so tell me a little bit about that, because that just sounds crazy. That's blowing my mind. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah. So one of the things I had mentioned earlier is the government has these things called socioeconomic set-asides. And all that simply means is when Congress sets their budget every year, they set aside they set aside a certain amount of money, 49%, that go to small businesses, minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, and you probably have a plethora of those people that, you know, listen to your podcast. And so basically they have an open door for anybody that is willing and able to do business. And so, you know, I fell in that category. And so we were able to win a contract with the federal government, leasing them. They wanted to lease 4 semis for a year. And it just so happened, you know, I walk in the office one day, I see this contract out there. I said, okay, you know, I'm just going to shoot my shot. Didn't do no research on it. But I'm like, boop, boop, boop. You know, we win this contract, and, you know, we were able to pay for, you know, we were able to pay the purchase price, you know, for 4 trucks. And I was thinking just here a second ago, the government, they paid for it, but we had a contractual obligation to do work. So it's not like they just paid for our trucks and we didn't have to do anything.
Okay, there we go.
It was on a contract, so we were doing business with the government. But within this contract, they paid me, you know, the purchase price for all 4 of these trucks. And then they threw on an extra, you know, it was an extra $100,000 that I just had to play with, you know, and they said, hey, you know, we'll only use this for a year, and then we'll give them back to you. And the contract was perfect. I didn't have to provide any drivers. I didn't have to provide any insurance and nothing really, you know, they took care of everything. And so that's how I got into the trucking business. One of the things I always wanted to do was get into the trucking business because my parents had initially been in the trucking business.
Okay.
And they lost that business. And so as the first son, you know, my duty is to redeem everything that my father lost, you know. That's my job, you know. So I I said, you know, they lost one truck. Okay, we're about to go get 4 back, and we're gonna own them this time.
Right. Okay.
So,
Okay.
so we were
Okay.
able to, you know, based off this contract, we were able to buy them debt free. So I walked into the dealership, man, threw down 6 figures, and you know, the salesman on the other side, you know, the finance man, they're like, okay, who are you and what do you do? You know, because they didn't quite believe what was going on. So I'm like, yeah, you know, I told them, yeah, you know, this is my business. This is what I do. You know, we're performing a contract and we need to buy these trucks. And we were able to do that. And it's been a blessing, man. It's really been a blessing, but it was through government contracting, which is essentially, you know, when I talk about it, a lot of people think, you know, I'm a handyman or something, like a contractor, like a general contractor. But all it means is I do projects for the federal government. So we do projects, and that just happened to be one of them.
And what type of freight would you be moving for the government through these contracts, just so the people get an idea?
Yeah, so it's only a limited amount of information I can give, just because the type of equipment is on a security clearance. You know, I don't want to get in trouble.
Right, for sure.
But all types of things. So just think about, you know, real heavy duty equipment, you know, that the government or that the Army is moving back and forth, you know. So that can be, I'm just going to throw out, you know, random things. That can be vehicles, that can be, you know, equipment for a mission or what have you. It could be food particles. It could be a lot of different things. So we move all kinds of things all across the United States.
So really the key in this whole thing would be getting to those contracts. Once you get to those contracts, then the freight just becomes readily available. And this is just an opportunity that's out there for everyone that a lot of people really don't know about.
100%. Yeah. So the first part of that is getting licensed and certified.
Okay.
And so one of the cool things that we started, you know, after we got into government contracting, we were just like, yo, this thing is it's huge. You know, the federal government spends $5.7 trillion just last year alone, and they're expected to do more this year. You know, I don't know if you've noticed this, but on the news, I think Congress just approved for $4.9 billion to go to the wall, you know, to go to the border, right? And so all that, when they approve money, that's just money for vendors to go and do work. Right. So there's gonna be transportation and trucking contracts in that. You just got to go in there and find in that $4.9 billion, you know, how much is set aside for you and what contracts you can get your hands on, because they're going to be needing to ship food and ship equipment and move things, you know, and receive, you know. So it's a whole lot. So whenever you see the government spending large amounts of money, everybody is entailed. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Everybody has a piece in that. You know, one of the cool things we started to do after we found out how much money is really out there, we began to get to work and start training programs to where we now train other small businesses how to, number one, become licensed, or we're nationally accredited to license and certify small businesses. To get these certifications. Yep.
Wow.
And we train you, because it's one thing to just get licensed and okay, I can win federal contracts, but how do I do it? How do I read, you know, a contract from the government? How do I work with them? How do I invoice the government? Who do I talk to? Where do I go? You know, you have all these questions. And so we created a training program that takes you through all these questions and answers all these questions. We assign our people a mentor. And so, you know, we've been able to take, you know, at this time, it's been about 300, 400 different businesses through our federal contracting program. And build businesses up. And so now those businesses are turning contracts. You know, they're going after these federal contracts where, you know, you're dealing with nothing less than 25,000 where the government is concerned. So, you know, a single owner operator that may, you know, make $2,000 on a route or $3,000, and then you got expenses, and then you got gas, and you got all these things, and you go home with a couple of dollars. You know, you hook up with a government contract, and you're able to, you know, lock in a year-long contract for $300,000, $400,000, and you have one consistent route, and you know when you can be home at night. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It just makes a lot. It makes a lot of more sense for a lot of people. So we say, you know, one of the things we want to do, I got into it with an organization called the National Black Chamber of Commerce, and it's an organization that just represents Black businesses all over the United States, in, you know, the United States Congress, and, you know, in state houses all throughout the states. And so, you know, I started to learn a lot, started to, you know, get into politics and understand how the machine works, and, you know, all this money that's going out. And, you know, I had always heard about government contracts, state contracts, federal contracts. You really didn't know how to tap it, you know, because as early as, you know, when I was cutting people's grass, I was trying to find state contracts to cut the highway grass. I knew that would be more money than cut, you know,
for sure,
you know,
for
somebody's auntie's grass, you know,
for sure.
So, but I didn't know how to access it, you know. And so over the years, over a course of 4 or 5 years, we taught ourselves through the program, and taught ourselves, and then devised a program after it. And you know, not only has it built our company to a multi-million-dollar corporation, but we've helped other people access these humongous contracts out there.
Wow. And where could the people find that educational resource that you're providing?
Yeah, for sure. So you can go to our website, which is jsuglobal.com. And you can go specifically to the courses. It's going to be jsuglobal.com/courses. Or if you get on the website, you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. It's going to say courses, and you have the ability to check out all the things we offer there. I just recently got on social media. My family and friends have been pushing me, get on social media. People need to know what you're doing. So you can follow me. I'm on Facebook, Jalen Uboh, Jalen, spelled JalenUboh. And on Instagram, I'm on Instagram as well, Jalen.Uboh. So that's JALEN.UBOH. And people can follow me there. I'm always putting up free content there, you know. Always, you know, I do a live every Sunday and Tuesday. So I'm just talking about business principles. I'm talking about, you know, how to build your business. What are the things that it takes to, you know, really go from $0, like I explained just during this interview, how I went from, you know, having no money and being able to build a multi-million-dollar business over the course of 5 years, and how people can do that, and how you do it debt-free. You know, wow. One of the things I experienced, especially in trucking, is, you know, I mean, all these setups, man, you know, you get tied into a lease, and they lock you in, you know, and you're going the owner operator route, and you're excited. And, you know, once you get out there, you realize it's harder to find work than, you know, they set it up to be. And so you get out there, you're not able to, you know, run your business or grow your business. And so one of the things that we really hone on is how to start a trucking company, and how to start that trucking company debt free. And so recently we created a course where we teach folks how to access government contracts and how to be able to build their fleets, you know, and let the government pay for it, you know, because there's money out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you also teach some other things as well. I've checked you out. You have some other real estate courses and some other things as well.
Yeah. So I have an entire team, and I have lawyers and accountants, and I just have a lot of people that are on my payroll that have some really crazy knowledge. And so we partner with a lot of these folks, a lot of folks outside. I'm also a real estate developer, so we're always developing real estate. And so I got some tricks of the trade for my folks where real estate is concerned as well, you know, because everybody is loving the real estate thing. Everybody is, you know, trying to get into the flipping and all that kind of stuff. And so one of the things I wanted to do was present a solution that really hadn't been presented, you know, how you can own real estate, getting into real estate without getting into any debt, you know, because the first thing someone's going to tell you, you know, if you want to flip a property, first of all, you got to go get a loan to buy the property. You know what I'm saying? Or you got to have some type of, you know, credit of that type. So one of the things that we present in our courses is how you can go about, you know, investing in real estate, making returns on your real estate, without going into debt, you know, and even how to own properties without going into debt. So that's something that I'm just a huge proponent on, because I have my own fight with that, and I'm like, yo, this debt thing, this is a trap, you know. This is that's the modern slavery, you know. Wow. We as African Americans, we talk about, you know, slavery, way back when, but it's a slavery going on today, in a lot of different forms, but debt is one of them. So I choose to believe that. And so I am on a mission to, wake up my people,
okay,
and anybody else that wants to go on this ride with us and build companies, build businesses, own land, generate positive cash flow without any debt. And, we stand, our company, we do millions of dollars a year, our 3 different companies, and we have no debt on the books. So everything we do is debt free. The properties we own are debt free. When we go and develop an apartment complex, we do it debt free, so it's some really amazing things out there, but it's just the knowledge, you got to take the time to, learn and begin to grow in these things, and, you're able to act on them.
Wow. So usually my last question is what's next for Jalen Yubo, but it seems like you're going to jump into anything that comes your way, right? I don't think you're going to turn down anything, man, but your collar. I don't know if I got to ask what's next. What are you curious about, man? Because, I mean, you're already doing so much. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what do you see yourself getting into, aside from all these other businesses and built so far?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely growing the businesses that we have. That's one of my main focuses. But, something that's been on my heart for a very long time, and just talking about debt, man, is banking, man. So in the next 5 years, your boy is going to be a bank owner for sure. So, that's what we're actually working on that right now. And we have a few other big projects in the works, but there's no limit, man. And I think that's what I want people to walk away with. There's nothing you cannot do. If you choose to believe that you can achieve, it's yours. It's just the going out there and get. It's already out there. It's land for sale. It's it's businesses for sale. It's possible. You can live your dreams. And so whether that's hey, I'm a truck driver and I want to go out here and hustle and make this money, or if I want to build a fleet and own 100 trucks and have them moving across the country, whatever it is, you have the ability to go after it and get it. So that's what I want to just put out there, man. I never stop dreaming. I never stop pushing the envelope. And tomorrow, if something else presents itself, it may be that. But one thing I do encourage where all your dreams are concerned is just be focused, to your entire audience. Just be focused on what it is that you're doing. That's one thing. I have a lot of different things that we do, but in all of them, there was a lot of years of practice and preparation. And there was a lot of stuff I didn't get to tell y'all today. So, there was a lot of focus on. So, it was just one thing at a time. I focused on this one thing. And when that one thing hit, okay, now I have the opportunity to do it something else, Okay. That's what I would put out there.
Sounds good, man. So I think that's a perfect way to end the show. Listen, everybody, make sure y'all follow this amazing young brother, Jalen Yubo. All the information will be in the show notes. Jalen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Chief.
Gave us so much value. I mean, I think this is going to be one of those that they have to listen to multiple times to pick up everything you were saying, man, because you dropped some news today, man. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
If you like what you heard, it's only going to get better. Make sure you subscribe and leave us a comment. Let us know what you want to learn or hear more about. Till next time, love is love. Truck and hustle.